There's been a dangerous myth floating around for years about the art of editing. It's a myth that I encountered way back in the late 90s when I was starting in the industry. And it went something like this. I'd ask a senior editor, how do I get really good at editing? And the senior editor would usually say something like, you can't teach it. Editing is instinctual. You've either got it or you haven't. Now, I cannot tell you how many times I heard this phrase or variations of it and how frustrating it was for me. High-end editing was described and still is as a kind of secret black magic art form that only a few natural-born geniuses touched by the editing gods have mastered. Bullshit, I remember thinking back then, and to be honest, my opinion has not changed since. Now, there's many reasons that this mindset still exists today. The way the industry is structured, the way film schools teach, and how training centers try and impart the theory of editing virtually guarantees that no progress is made. The fundamental engine, the fuel that guarantees mastering this beautiful art form isn't difficult to figure out. But it's not a sexy subject in the academic and teaching world because it's so simple. So in this episode, I'm going to tell you what it is and, more importantly, how you can harness it to maximize your skill set as quickly as possible. My name's Paddy Bird, and this is Inside the Edit. Okay, so here it is. Continual and relentless repetition. If you want to master the art of visual storytelling on the timeline, then you have to start thinking about editing like going down the gym. You're building editing muscles every single day. You can't expect to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger after a couple of gym visits. And to be honest with you, it's as simple as that. Now, we live in an age that tries to hack the millennia-old systems of mastery. The internet is full of shortcuts, cheats, 10 easy steps to whatever. The victories on this path are transitory and shallow. True mastery, however, comes from dedicating a major part of your daily consciousness to this art form and for a sustained period of time. Every time you load a new sequence, assess a new shot, make a new cut, that's a rep. Every time you position a bit of B-roll to align perfectly with a line of dialogue, every time you readjust the pacing across a montage, every time you nudge a reaction shot half a second later so that the emotional impact is more powerful, they are all reps. Now, we don't talk about it like that in the industry, but we should. Because the craft of editing isn't something you learn like software memorization. It's something that you embody, something that is mastered through huge repetition. You don't become an editor by reading editing books. It's as simple as that. You don't become an editor by watching YouTube breakdowns. And you certainly don't become an editor by adding the title editor to your Instagram bio. You become an editor by sitting on your ass in the chair and doing the work day in, day out. You have to roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty every single day. Just like going down the gym, just like learning an instrument or a language, just like learning how to shoot. No one is going to do your press-ups for you. Just after the millennium, I started cutting the new and emerging genre of reality TV, and I got the chance to work on one of the biggest global shows of that time. It was called Big Brother. Now, it wasn't glamorous. There were no slow-motion beauty shots or orchestrated music or big complex narratives. Just raw human chaos and a never-ending supply of conflict. Every 2 hours, there was a tape change. New footage was coming in, new conversations, new glances, new arguments, new fragments of real life that needed to be shaped into an engaging narrative. And I got to be honest, it was relentless. You had just a few moments to strategize after the day producer came in and gave you a bunch of highlighted transcripts for potential stories. You had to watch the raw footage feeds, sense the emotion, the potential start of the scene, the end of the scene, and build it on the fly. Not in a few days, in a few hours. It was total immersion. 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, 3 long months, hundreds of scenes, thousands of decisions, reps on reps on reps. It was stressful, sleep depriving, and anxiety overloading as they pushed you relentlessly to create. But it was also amazing because when you think about nothing apart from editing, when you eat, sleep, and dream editing for most of your day, your creative instincts get sharpened incredibly quickly. Full creative immersion is the quickest way to turn yourself into a high-end editor. So here's the question that no one asks. What percentage of your mental real estate is occupied by editing? Be honest, is it 90%, 50%, 10%? Because the truth is, if editing is just one of the things you do, you'll never get as good as you want to. Not truly. You might be competent, but mastery, the real thing, requires obsession. So consider this. If you gave yourself just 1 year and thought of nothing else, you'd transform your skill set beyond belief. You'd become fluent. You'd stop second-guessing every decision. You'd become instinctual. But that requires focus. That requires eliminating distractions. So if this is something you'd like, ask yourself, what is getting in the way? How many hours did I spend scrolling, browsing, comparing, consuming instead of creating? How often did I open up my editing software with the same energy as someone checking their email? Now, there's no shame in admitting the truth. I certainly did. But there is a cost. By the end of this year, you could have done hundreds of thousands of editing reps, but only if you show up every single day. One of the things I struggled with when trying to break into high-end editing was learning the language used in professional edit suites. Learning all of the terminology really does help when shaping your mind for every stage of the creative editing process. And that's why I created this thing for you. It's a beautifully designed poster called The Periodic Table of Editing Terminology. 50 of the most used creative terms you'll ever hear in the Pro Suite. You can print it out and put it on the wall of your cutting room, or keep it as a screensaver. Just click on the link in the description below, head on over to insidetheedit.com and download it right now. Memorize every single one, and you'll start sounding like a high-end editor very quickly. Now here's something they never tell you in film school. The hardest part of editing is not creative, it's spiritual. It's not how do I build the perfect sequence. It's how long can I sit in this chair feeling awful, feeling insecure, and still keep going. That's the real test. How long can you feel uncomfortable, inadequate, panicked by a deadline, convinced that you're talentless, and keep going? We've all been there, because that's what often separates editors who go far from the hobbyists. It's not talent and it's not taste. It's tolerance. With tolerance, you can learn anything, any cutting pattern, any cutting style, any editing skill. Can you sit with the blank timeline, heartbeat pounding, inner critic raging, and start practicing anyway? Now, when I lecture at film schools and I go and look out amongst the audience, I can usually tell who'll make it in the industry within the first few minutes. It's not based on their reel. It's not based on their software skills. It's based on their relationship to discomfort, focus, and distraction. High-end editing is a slow and methodical art form. It requires enormous patience and a relentless passion for detail. Pushing yourself through all of your internal creative insecurities is one of the most necessary aspects of learning any art form, but especially in editing. Now, I've been lucky enough to work at a high level in the industry with some truly talented editors, directors, cinematographers, and producers. And through all of the thousands of hours in edit suites, I can tell you this: the truly talented men and women I've seen throughout my career weren't magic. They weren't natural prodigies. They were just relentless. They had a drive inside them that couldn't be turned off despite all of the long hours and stress. So let me ask you again, how many editing reps have you done today? Because your future is not built on fantasies about filmmaking. It's not built in dreams or courses or inspiration. It's built in the reps. Every single one matters. So close this video and get back on the timeline right now. Thank you for your kind attention, dear friend. I'm Paddy Bird, and this is Inside the Edit.